And we're live. What's up, killers? How you guys doing? It's Chirpstack, ZimV. What's going on? Siegfried, Lee, Gregory. What's going on, guys? Good to see everybody here. Lee, thank you for announcing this over on Twitter. I always forget. It's Lee and I were talking the other day. It's like you got kind of creators and what was it, Lee? Executors or implementers or something. And it's like all I do is like just create stuff, and then I forget to tell everybody I created it. So I guess that's life. So we're doing this one on Chirpstack, and I think Paul is going to. What's going on, Jay? Paul over at Disk 91 is going to be cruising on and kind of walking through with us, making sure that I don't make too many mistakes. But yeah, is there anything else that you guys wanted to hit before we do Chirpstack? I haven't even looked at the rest of what's been going on in Helium. What's going on, Hack? Hey, Sam. This week I've been so heads down trying to figure out Chirpstack, and I think there's so much to it. I probably should have made a graphic. Is the way that I'm thinking about it is that there's the Chirpstack side, which is its own thing, the way it looks, and then there is Paul's implementation of it, which is there's only so much that he can control, and then there's the Helium side as well. And if I'm understanding it right, is the way that the packet routes actually did this blog post. You should be able to see it in the description. I left out a pretty key step, which is that first the packet goes through some kind of Helium router before it goes to the correct LNS. And so in some cases, it's creating confusion for me. Might not be creating confusion for geeks, but certainly for me. What's going on, Travis? Good to see you. Well, let's dive in, and then when Paul gets here, he can cruise on, and I'll add him to the show. Oh, there he is. Speak of the devil. Let's see if I can do this. Paul, what's going on, dog? How you doing? There we go. Get your sweatshirt on straight. Everything's looking good. There you go. Get your hat. Hell yeah. Get that thing running. Oh, I get your Helium Foundation hat. Maybe I should get mine. I don't know where it is. What do they say in French? Like it's not like que bon or something. Some beautiful thing. So, what's going on, dude? How you doing? Can you hear me? Maybe not. I don't think you can hear me. Oh, that's what happened. Well, he'll be back in a second. And what I'll do in the meantime is jump on over. Oh no, here he comes in. Yahtzee, how's that?
Hey.
There we go. We just got to see you trying on the Helium hat and putting it back off.
Yeah. That's really nice. In fact, yeah, I can try, but
didn't look as nice as you wanted to. I'm gonna switch this screen over to Chirpstack, Paul, and then we'll go through, and you can kind of walk me through all the pretty amazing things that you've been doing, and I'll figure out the stuff that I need to do. So, for those of you watching along, what's up, Nikki, Red Sky? This is let's see, Paul. This is the Chirpstack instance that's spun up for Gristle King. That's the right word?
Yeah.
Instance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then we're doing this under the Medio scientific name. I talked a little bit about that in last week's show. It's kind of this how to like run a Helium as a business thing that's separate from Gristle King. I think it might be too confusing, but we're gonna roll with it for right now. And I think I can explain it well enough that we're gonna be fine. You can totally get an account on here if you want. You can do it right now. Go to console.medioscientific.com and you'll be able to sign up for an account and get your own account. The data credit cost on that is going to be 10x the base rate, I think it is. If you want it cheaper, you can have Paul. You can do it on Paul's. Paul's, what's your URL? Is it IoT something?
It's Helium, helium-iot.eu, and going to be helium-iot.xyz with Chipsark soon.
Okay, cool. So those two things, you can do that. You can get it a little cheaper if you go that route. I think it's 5 DCs, 5x instead of 10x. Yeah. But either way, you get, I think, the same thing.
Yeah, some feature, it's the same thing.
Okay, cool. Super cool. And this is what we're looking at. So when you come in, what you will see is actually a little bit different. You won't see all these network server things unless you have Paul run an instance for you. And to do that, you'll need an OUI, and you'll need to pay Paul the monthly fee, which you can discuss with him. I think some of the cool stuff there, Paul, is you got the dashboard with everything. Great. We see that stuff. There's a bunch of different tenants. So you can see all the tenants I've got on here. I think all these people are fine with me being public. If not, sorry. But these guys are all testing it right now. I think the coolest thing, Paul, was this device profile templates. Um,
Yeah, you can simplify a bit your life, yeah, by creating templates that anyone can access. Yeah, it can help. Yeah, I prefer that everyone is managing his own device profile, but it really depends on what you want to do. Yeah.
yeah. Yep. So the way that Chirpstack works, which is a little different than Helium, is there isn't a menu item for devices. On Helium console, there is. You just see all your devices in one long list. But the way Chirpstack manages it is, I think I think you actually start with a device profile. So if you want a device,
Yeah.
you yeah you pick it out, and then once you have that in there, you add it in here. I
Well,
think I've got the soil moisture sensor, which is the thing that I've been kind of using to test this. Then you go into applications, and in applications, you'll choose the device template you set up, and then you'll add devices from there. Is that right?
but just a little word on this. The main difference we have in a chipstack architecture compared to the previous one is you have to separate your device by zone, and you cannot have a device which is multi-zone. So that's why your device profile is basically saying, okay, this EU 8CC8, and basically a device is in a zone, in a EU 8CC8 or in a US 915. So, but the advantage is you have a lot of more definition about the different protocol implementation for each of the device type. So you can really, I mean, that's the way it works with class A, class B, class C, and all that stuff.
Okay, and that's been. I mean, we're already seeing. I think Bones is AU 915. He's on here testing this thing out with us, and we've seen Paul. It's been really fun in the GKOUI channel to have you be there, and then to have the rest of us kind of in there, kind of testing things and like, oh, how does this work? What does this mean? You know, like why is it doing this thing? You know, and Joey's asking, hey, how do I get 500 gateways to hear my signal? It's like, well, maybe you don't need 500. I don't know. Okay, so the other thing that I haven't really played around with at all is this gateways thing, and you can see I haven't added anything in. That's pretty new for all of us. Can you walk me through what someone might
Yeah,
do with that?
yeah, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, Chipstack is basically made for managing a private network. So if you manage your own network, you have to declare your gateway in it. But as we are using it with Helium, which is a public network, basically you don't have a gateway inside Chipstack. So maybe we could imagine to have some mix of private and public gateway with this, but I did not investigate this part, so I won't talk about it. But yeah, something we could imagine maybe.
Okay, and I might do that if let's see. I guess maybe we explore that. Is I could run my own private LoRaWAN and send it to this and have gateways for that, or that would be a totally different thing.
Maybe say maybe we could imagine that you have Helium plus some private gateway, and maybe this could work with Chipstart. But as I said previously, I did not investigate this a bit, so yeah, I prefer this. Maybe it's possible, but I don't know more yet.
Got it. Okay. Dustin's asking, do you onboard devices here similar to Helium's console? It's a little bit different, Dustin. So you set up the device profile, and in this case, we'd hit add device profile. You go through all this stuff. Some of the stuff is pretty familiar. Some of the stuff was actually a surprise and confusing to me. This Mac version, I was like, dude, I'm going to leave this alone. I don't know what it does.
Yeah, that's really important. It's the LoRaWAN version your device is supporting. So basically, as a LoRaWAN is supporting a previous version, if you're not sure, better to put a low number. Most of the devices are supporting 103, so that's good. If you go to 101, it changes different things, so maybe you won't be able to join. So 103, I would say it's a safe things. And after you have some ABC, that's revision of the norm. Basically, when you buy a device or when you make a device and you have a library, it's the version of the library that is used, so you should have an access to this information.
Okay. So I think one thing that I learned from diving into this is that Chirpstack is still pretty much for geeks, which is great. Like an aspiring geek myself, but this isn't. I mean, it's not meant, and I don't think it was ever meant for kind of primetime general public. It's for folks who are like, hey, I want to know about this. I want control over every aspect of this. And ultimately, I want to learn about it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, more. I mean, more for geeks, but mostly more for professional.
Yeah.
Because when you are managing a fleet, you have to go to all this detail to get the best performance of your device. So yeah, you have all the options. The norms is permitting.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think that's a better way to say it, is the professional way. Let's see. Zim is asking, what if we did a data only with the Chirpstack MQTT C bridge? I don't know.
If you have a data only, basically it's on Helium, so it don't change anything.
Okay.
And for the rest, I mean, it's what I was talking about. Maybe we can use a standard LoRaWAN gateway and as a private hotspot for your chipstack instance. But yeah, it's. I mean, it's something you will be able to need to do on a private instance of this,
Ah,
or specific. I mean, if you want to add some specific communication to the chipstack instance, it's possible if with your chipstack instance, or you, because there is some configuration, the listener will be different. I mean, on your instance, the listener are connecting to uh, Helium router,
yep.
and not specially communicating with anything. So
Okay. Let's see. Expected uplink interval. We set this. I think we found Jason Greyhack guy and I don't think it was Jason Bones and I were talking about this last night. Is that sometimes it's a little bit slow for the packet to come through, and so that the device can show offline if it goes over this. So I think we were setting this to like 3,700, even though 3,600 is, what is that, an hour? And I don't know if that's a workaround, Paul, or if that's something that we can kind of expect, that as the packet, if I'm understanding it right, goes from the sensor through the Helium router to this LNS, there's a little bit of a delay.
no, I mean, this part is really you have a status of the device when you go on a dashboard, and if I'm not wrong, yeah, that's this one. And so your device will be yellow, red, or green, depending on this activity status.
Yep.
And so basically, you if your device is emitting on every 30 seconds, you can put your level at 1 minute, for example. And if your device is emitted once a day, you will change that for 24 hour, or for 20, 30 hour, just to make sure that the color are correct.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
These been bugging me because it's like, I want them all green, and I see stuff that's orange and red. It's like, well, this is still the Gristle King thing is kind of a testing thing that we're doing with it, and you can see on Chirpstack that it's not really set up for Helium the way we think about it, because we're not going to see active gateways. We're not going to see a gateway map because Chirpstack is treating Helium as if it's one giant gateway. Is it? That's kind of correct, or that is correct?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it sees the different gateway, but imagine that Chipstack would have to manage 500,000 gateway on this page. It would
Right.
crash. I mean, Chipstack has been more made for managing hundreds of gateway as a
Yeah.
network,
Yep.
not hundred of thousand. So yeah, better to not see that in this dashboard.
Yeah. And I think Joey was talking about today, and this is something I'm interested in as well, is like, how do we start to customize Chirpstack for Helium peeps? Maria, good to see you. I just saw that you were on, and you're going to watch this thing from the beginning. Right on. Super good to see you. I know we see every so often in over in the Apple effers thing. Okay, let's see. So we'll go back. I think Dustin was asking about the device side. Is you go and you create this profile, you add the device profile here. And here's the thing, Paul, that I'm still kind of shaky on, is the difference between a device profile and an application.
Yeah,
But I guess we finish off the device profile thing here.
yeah.
So you put in the name, description, all of that stuff, and then leave this stuff alone for right now. Leave Class B, Class C alone. The codec is going to be the thing that we used to call a decoder. So you'll go
Yeah.
down to JavaScript functions and you'll paste in your decoder. I totally think there is room in the market for like a decoder Helium cleanup service. Although I think Bones is running a GitHub right now for kind of known good Chirpstack v4 decoders. Anything to add to
Uh,
that, Paul?
Yeah, that's great. What we have implemented in Migration is the ability to automatically generate the profile, including the decoder function. So I've made a solution to import decoding function existing previously on Helium console. So it's going to be an helper for setting all that stuff. Basically, when you have a device on the Helium console, you don't have to go in device profile and decoder and all that stuff. It will be automatically set up.
Right. The flows are different. Okay, cool. And then
And
I
that's why,
haven't messed with this stuff at all with tags or measurements,
yeah,
other than I think I added a test tag. Have you? How do you use this on yours, Paul? Or have
no,
you
not
used?
yet.
Okay, you
No,
haven't
not,
used it. And then I think guys were saying that the measurements was useful for debugging. Have you used
yeah.
this at all?
No, not yet. I'm not a
Okay.
big user on Chipstack. In fact, I spend all my time to make all. I mean, I could talk a lot about how is the software architecture behind, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of newbie in using Chipstack. I'm just using it since a couple of months for testing and verifying that everything is working. But I never had a fleet working on Chipstack yet.
Ah,
So
okay,
maybe
cool. So we're
yeah,
learning together.
we'll learn a lot.
Love it. Now, one cool thing over here is, and you guys are seeing more than you normally see, is because you're seeing all this stuff up here, is you can select a device profile template. So let's say that you go to console.medioscientific.com. You're like, hey, I want my own Chirpstack. I think you get 400 free credits when you start. Paul was telling me to do 1,000, but I was like, no, someone's going to figure it out and they're going to fucking hack what I'm doing and I'm going to get crushed on this thing. So you only get 400 to start. Joey's coming in. What's up, Joey?
Hey, Joy.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Paul. Good afternoon, evening.
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, dog. Joey, have you done a bunch of stuff in Chirpstack or no?
Really, no. There's been a bit of stuff just for testing and sort of the ramp up for our migration, but before that, I've never really touched it. So
Okay.
it's kind of new territory.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
I was having a blast last night.
Yeah, good. Good. You're trying to break it. You're like, hey, how do I get 10 million hotspots to report back? It's like, I don't know. Let me see if I can do it. And it didn't work. All right. So hang on. We were here. So if you wanted to just kind of follow along and use someone else's work, which I think is really cool, is on the network server side, I can add a device profile template for a specific device. So if you want to do this device right now, which is the LoRaWAN soil moisture sensor from MakerFabs, and you open up your own Medioscientific or console.medioscientific account, you can come in here and just select it because I've already put it in for you. So you just pick MakerFabs, go right down the line, and it will fill everything out that you needed filled out, including the codec. So now you have R4WK. I always call you Rock, but I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Codec is in here, and this thing will work off the bat. So now you have a working device profile. You would save that, which I've already done, and you go down to applications, and you'll see whatever it is you called it in there. Anything?
And
Go ahead, Paul.
to
What I missed?
yeah, to have a good understanding what is the dev profile, it's really related to the device as its name is indicated. So basically, it's the device configuration to make it simple. When the application is related to what you want to do with the data, so it's more related to the integration you're going to have. So that's the difference and why we have these two information. One for the device, so it's going to be common to any devices with the same family, and the application is what you're going to do with application. So you can have different kind of devices using the same application somewhere,
Huh.
and you can have for the same type of devices you can have multiple application. That was what you are this split basically in the two categories.
I'm still not like. It sounds good. I'm just trying to think of how I would use that for. I mean,
Think, wrap your head around having 20 of these soil moisture sensors, and then I
okay.
think it starts to like be a nice pattern.
Okay, so how would you do it if you had 20 soil moisture sensors and you're putting them whatever in some nursery? Why would I use different applications for that? Like I would use
So
like the good.
imagine that you have a temperature and moisture sensor plus I don't know something like a presence detector thing. So you can use it. So it's the same sensor, but you can use it for different things. Like for example, for smart home, So you will have information about, okay, my children are back from home, but from school, or the temperature inside my house is good, blah, blah, blah. So it's a certain type of feature, and you have a certain front end to the user, so certain back end also. So you have a certain process of this information for this sensor. And on the other end, you have the same sensor, but you address a smart building or a smart office. And basically, you use it in a meeting room, and you want to measure the occupancy and the air quality of this room. So it's the same sensor, the same data, but the application is different. So basically, you have one device profile because it's the same device,
Yep.
but you're going to have two applications because the device will be routed to different server to provide different services.
Okay. So I've got this device, this soil moisture sensor, which measures, I think, temperature, humidity, and soil moisture, of course. And I could use three different applications. One's just like a temperature application, so I could throw it in my attic, not worry about the soil moisture or whatever, and just get the attic temperature. And that would be a different application than
Yeah,
soil moisture.
it will also be different devices. Okay, in an application you have device, so it will be more like you have this sensor. It can be used for smart home to for your plant. I mean, I don't know the word in English, but for your flowers, you mean? Okay,
Okay.
and you need okay, but you can also have an application for agricultural, and so this is more a B2B application, so
Yep.
different stream, different calculation, and so on. So that's more, and that way you can have different application for the same device.
Okay.
Or saying differently, it's like you have this device, you sell it to me, I will implement it, so I will have an application for myself. It will go to I don't know, my application server, and you also have devices, and it goes to a different application. So that's the same thing. It can be between different people, or it can be across one people. It's just the
Okay.
way you want to put the information, kind of routing things.
Got it. And I think what's this Gabriel is asking, is it a way to filter a payload sent from each endpoint? I think that's one way I'm understanding it, Gabriel.
Filter payload. No, no. I mean, yeah, no. You cannot have this. So it's exactly what I say. A device is attached to an application. In terms of hierarchy, you have a application. In application, you have devices, and the devices is attached to a device profile. Data arrive inside an application, so you cannot route. If you have three sensors, you cannot say there is one sensor going to that application and one sensor going to that application. Okay, all the sensor inside the device
Hmm.
will go to the same application. So application are group of device, and it's really a question of end user application. Okay.
What they're gonna do with it? Okay. Okay. Cool. Bad. I think it just sounds like you got to dig in and use the thing and see how it goes. I see Joey nodding
One,
along. Yeah, it's
one,
the fuck around and find out method.
one thing which is important in this is in application you have integration. And in fact, the integration is at the application level to help you to understand. For every integration you have, you need a specific application. Let's something you cannot do with Chipstack.
Yep.
In Helium, you had your device, and your device, you was able to say, okay, the payload is going out the device. I can split it, and I can send it to different integration. This is something you cannot do with Chipstack. You
That's
only have
right.
one application, yeah, for
Okay.
one
I'll see
device.
if I can open that up and let that. Let's see if that goes. Might take a hot second here.
Yeah, so that answers Liam's question, which so what Paul just said is that is not the case. You can only have one integration per device under the sort of current
Yeah,
configuration. And I expect to see people build a little like multiplexer so you can, I mean, you could do that with request bin or something.
Yeah.
yeah. The
Okay.
next project I will work on is a forwarder. Because what I want is to be able to reproduce some of the integration we had on Helium plus localization service and things like this. So basically, the next project is a system to get the traffic going out from Chipstock and being able to route it to different services and enrich the payload with different information, and then also reformat the payload for fitting with Helium as the Chipstock payload is different.
That was actually my question that I was poking at last night is reformatting the payload, and it doesn't seem doable in Chirpstack without sort of running your own instance. Is that the right read
No,
there?
no. Yeah, I've started an open source project for doing this.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Because I was trying to
in
get a
Java.
mapper started last night, and mappers looks for, in addition to the normal payload, decoded payload stuff, it's looking for metadata, and
Yeah,
those have different names in different places.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, that's my.
I
As soon as I have stabilized what we have, I work. I start working on this.
Cool.
got it, got it. Okay, that's beautiful. I was trying to figure out if I should figure out how to do it in Chirpstack or if I should change the code on mappers to
No,
support
I
two
don't know.
different like formats. So
It's in progress.
yeah,
What
yeah.
just saw, Nick, is really interesting. I really use it as a statistic of a device transmission, and I mean that's really cool to have this. I really love this script. When you go to a device, one of the device, you know you have a last month, last day a communication with RSSI and so on. So that's really cool to for seeing if everything goes well with your device and
That's right.
that of it.
And this is what you're talking about, Paul, is in here? This
I don't know.
RSSI?
I mean, this is also really interesting. But the screen before going to the event details, it does the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on dashboard you see that's the number of packets you've received. So it's per day, but you can switch on. You have a toggle to switch per day, per month, or per hour. So if you take a look at, yeah, you see here you can see per hour, and so that's really interesting. I mean, you can easily a long term debug your communication and see if I mean you've lost some message or thing like this.
Hmm.
This is actually a really nice improvement over the old console, which would not store anything
Yeah.
past like a couple of days, right? So now
Huh.
you get this like when when your device is like, oh, I didn't get data last week, you have no reference when in your console to figure that out, and now you kind of do, which is super handy.
Got it. Let's see. Rock's asking, any plans to allow end users to adjust RX1 window? I don't know where that happens.
Yeah, I did not investigate that part.
Okay. Unknown.
So I think it's part of the device profile, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Huh. So it should be, let's see. And we're looking at the device profile now. Is that right? Have you
And
guys looked at
device
this tags or variables thing? I haven't touched this other than to add this test tag.
a
I was
variable
looking at
is
it
I'm
last night.
using variable
No. Okay. The
uh, for,
keys.
for the tag. No, but the variable are used. It's yeah, so the tricky part, in fact.
Huh. So what would you
Tricky
use this
part.
for?
So when you import devices, we get some information coming from the legacy console. So yeah, but there is one which is particularly important. It's the app UI, APP EUI,
Mm-hmm.
because Chipstack is not using app UI. So basically, it's 000 by default.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's not a problem, in fact, because in Chipstock, as it's totally ignored, if your device has a predefined app UI, it just ignored and it works on Chipstock. But on Helium, it works a bit differently, and Helium, for being able to join, will check the app UI. So basically, you need to have somewhere the real app UI of your device, but it's not inside Chipstack as it's not managed by Chipstack.
Right.
So we had a variable containing the app UI of the device, and so the software I've made is able to get this and synchronize Helium with this information. So yeah, that's really, really
Oh,
important.
so it's helpful to you. It's not, and I haven't done an import. Maybe we should try like a live import from Helium console, but maybe I'll just leave that alone for now. Okay, application key. We've seen this stuff. The activation. All right. I didn't understand this dev address or device address is different than the dev EUI. Is this something
Yeah,
that's you?
no, Yeah, just on some the device UI and app UI are an identity of the device which is unique. Okay,
Okay.
it's
Yep.
twice 60 bytes or 128 bytes very long, something like this, or 64, sorry, 64 byte long.
Okay.
So it's unique basically, but it's too long to be put on every frame you transmit on the network. So
Okay.
when your device is doing a join request, you get an answer of the LNS, which is a done accept. And in this join accept, it gets a dev address and the negotiate keys, the session keys for communication. And so the dev address is going to be used like an IP address, exactly like say, yeah, R4WK,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and this one will be used. And
Yep.
in fact, the difference with an IP address is that this IP address is not unique. So you can have plenty of devices using the same dev address. Okay, and for example, in your OUI, you have only 8 dev address, and so basically, if you have I don't know 800 device, it means that 100 device will share the same dev address, and it's the keys that will be able allow the system to identify what traffic goes to what people.
Oh,
Okay,
interesting.
so
Okay.
yeah, and basically what you see there when you are activated, it means that you have a dev address, a network session key, and an application session key. So to make it simple, application session key is used for encrypting the communication, and the network session key is used to sign the communication. And the three information are the one you have in ABP. So basically, when you use ABP mode, you basically set up these information. So they are hard coded basically, they are generated and hard coded in your device. And you don't have to join request and join accept because your device already has a session key and directly communicate to Chipstack.
Ah. All right. I might have to watch that one again. But yeah, I like it. It's. I mean, all this stuff is super interesting, and it's all new. The Q stuff. So we used to. I forget what this is called in console, but this is how you send a downlink, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a downlink queue, in fact. Yeah.
Okay. Easy. I don't have anything going there. And then, what's the difference between events and LoRaWAN frames? So we got a bunch of both. I've been looking at events, but I don't know. Maybe there's a giant
Yeah,
difference.
you may have different thing in LoRaWAN events, more things compared to LoRaWAN frame. I think in LoRa frame you have decoding information also. You can
Okay.
directly see. So basically, events is a raw thing, and LoRaWAN frame is a more detailed thing for uplinks mostly. Yeah.
Okay. And then can you set in here? Can I set that a device? Sorry, yeah, a device only gets bought by a certain gateway. In console, you could say, "Hey, I only want devices to go through, my gateway." Like this ambitious citron pheasant is someone that's near my house, but it's not my hotspot, and I want to be running everything through Sweet
You can
Sage Pike.
you can't. Yeah, I mean you can't. What is deciding what frame is selected is a Helium router. So it's not inside Chipstack that this selection is made. That's a difference. To explain this, previously the legacy system, the console was the router element. So basically, all the frame coming from the different hotspots were arriving to the legacy console. So to your server basically, and
Yep.
so your router inside it were selecting things. But now the traffic is arriving to Helium infrastructure, which is central, and this infrastructure is purchasing some of the packets according to the number of packets you've selected, and these packets are routed to Chipstack. So basically, in Chipstack, you only see the packets that has been purchased by the central architecture, and you cannot make this kind of selection.
Huh. Okay. Oh, dude, we're getting some. So Travis is asking. Maybe this is a nice setup question. Is how do we move a device from Helium console to Chirpstack? And Paul, you said you've got this working. I think Rock used it the other day.
So yeah, you can. In fact, you cannot have. I mean, you can have a device in a two console, but if you do that, when you're gonna join, basically it will select one of them randomly. So yeah, this is really not a good idea. You have to do migration. So basically, you can manually adding the device into Chipstock, and when it's done, you have to deactivate into the legacy console, or you can use a migration tool that will do all of this for yourself.
Dude, how do I use
In
the
fact,
immigration or the migration tool? Can we do it live? You think it'll work?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, if you do that, you will share your credential. But um, go to the go to the software on Chipstock.
Yep.
So go on
Into
the top where there's a header. Go really on the top where there's a reader of my code.
I don't
The top
understand where
of
to
the
go. Sorry.
screen. Yeah, yeah. Go up on the screen at the top of the screen.
Oh, top of the screen. Yep.
To see, yeah. So here you have on the black part is basically what I've added to control Chipstock. And so if you go on the part, right side, really right where you have
Oh, over here.
your yeah. So right again, okay. And here, yeah, you have a
Yep.
menu. And in this menu you have migration. And
Okay.
here is the migration wizard. So there's a couple of steps. Okay, so the first step is explaining how to create an API key to connect to the legacy console. This is a screen capture to show you what you want to do, what you have to do. Basically, if you go a bit deeper,
Yep.
yeah, you have here the place where you enter the key, and you select the legacy console you want to import from.
Okay. So it'll come from this. And is
Yeah.
this the? Oh, so I
So here,
generate the. Go ahead.
yeah, exactly. So you have to generate a key. So this is where you have to go to Helium console, legacy one. And I think it's on your account. Not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
I forget. I
No,
don't know
it's
myself.
you can try on. Let's try to click on your the same icon that you had to click previously. Sorry, the profile icon.
Oh, this guy up here.
Yeah, I think it's there. And my account, and I think it's here. You can create API key. Yeah, okay. So you can create an API key. Normally, you should.
Let's see. Please choose a name for your key name. So
Oh.
this will be MetSci console
Yeah.
administrator.
Okay, check it. You have to copy and paste. You will be able to delete this key after. So
Okay.
even if it's recorded, it's not a big problem. So
All
you
right.
do that. You have to get in an email. You have to validate this API key.
Okay.
So you may have received an email, and you have to do that. Sorry, I need to plug my computer on power.
Yeah. Let me jump over on an email here and get this.
Yeah.
This will be slightly less exciting for
Yeah.
for folks watching, but I think it's pretty cool to see kind of what happens and how it works. And I forget if this goes to. I think it goes to Gristle King, but it might go to MetSci Neck. Oh yeah, activate your new API key. So I know you're not seeing it on screen, but I just activated the key. It's now you should be able to see what's happening here.
So basically, you've created an API key. This key has been validated by an email you received. So you had to click on the email, and that's why it opened another window. So now you can go back to Chipstock.
Okay.
And pass your API key on this place.
And do I need to generate the key or no?
That's just a screen capture. In fact, it's a screen capture of what you've just done on a console.
Ah, this thing. Okay.
The button is just a screen capture.
Got it. Okay. So this is the key that I had, the
Yeah.
PM, whatever the fuck it is. And then I connect it.
So this is going to get the data from your account, and now it's just indicating the number of label device you have, more indicative. You select the label you're interested in migrating.
Holy shit. All right. Let's try. Maybe we can do the people counter. And will these change each time? No.
I mean, it's
Just the total number of labels. Okay.
Yeah, it's what has been downloaded from your API. So you select this label.
Yep,
And
cool.
once you've done this, so it tells you that there is one device, one active device with this label. So here you can migrate your decoding function. So if you add one, you can select one.
There's
And
Nicky's.
basically, yeah. So on the right side you have the original version, and on the left side you have the translated version. So better to verify, but it's basically automatically generated.
Okay.
You can modify the right side. So on left side you have the previous one left. Okay, so you can modify if you want, and then you select this decoder and you validate that it's correct. Okay, so now we are at the Chipstock part, and here you don't have your root, your admin.
I am, yeah, shit.
Yeah, admin cannot migrate devices
Huh.
because admin own all the tenants.
Okay.
And so we cannot get the list of tenants for admin. So you need to not be admin for migrating tenants. Sorry,
Okay.
yes, that.
All right, and then this should work. The magic should happen there. Let's see. Cool. We'll see if this thing works. Okay, so now I'm in as Gristle King. Cool.
Yeah. So you do the same thing. You go to your profile icon, migrate. It's gonna be more faster. You pass your API key.
Was it this
Just
thing? Yeah.
you just put that you still have it. You
Yeah,
cannot
I
get
do.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Because once you've seen it one time on console, you cannot have it another time. So get data, select your tenant, your label.
Yep. Oh, it's easier.
Yeah,
It's much easier the second time, right?
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
and we did all that
Validate it.
stuff.
Okay, so now you should be able to see the tenant. Do you have a tenant?
I don't think maybe I don't have a tenant in. I thought Gristle King was a tenant,
Yeah,
but maybe Gristle King is also an admin. Fuck. Okay.
yeah, maybe.
All
So
right.
yeah, but we will we'll show that more in detail. So normally here you
Yep.
select a tenant where you will import your devices.
Yep.
Once you've done that, it will propose you to create the different
Yep.
device type, and it will create the application. And then you have a list of devices, and you can select one by one to migrate device automatically, or you can select them by group, and so you can migrate. 2,000 in one time if you need.
Okay.
And it will create everything on Chipstock, and then it will deactivate everything on the console. So it do not delete the console, but it deactivates them. So I mean, you can do a rollback at any time. It's not big issue. But what I recommend is to try one, to make one running,
Yep.
and then to migrate the other, because if you had a problem, it's not really good to delete 1,000 devices in
No,
Chipstock.
it'd be a huge pain in
Basically,
the
you have
ass.
to
Yeah.
do one by one. So
Okay. Okay. I think I've got a test account, but we probably don't want to fuck with that too much right now. So
yeah.
very
And
cool.
you'll-
So that, and I know that a couple folks have actually used that thing already. So they're actually they've used it and they said it worked, reported it worked. So we should be good there. Super. I think that's most of it. Does anyone who's watching this have any questions on what to do? I know Dustin, you had asked about adding a device. Do you guys have any questions about this? And then Rock, his migration tool converts Helium decoders to Chirp decoders. We should take that code and make it a separate app. I don't know. Is that like
yeah,
private code, Paul? Or do we?
no, it's no. The reason is decoder is just transforming the device payload into JSON basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is inside Chipstock. But what I was talking about a second project is once you send the integration, so you have the payload, but also you have the metadata containing the list of hotspots receiving the information, the time, and all that stuff. The format of this metadata is different compared to what we had previously on Helium console. And basically, it breaks all the integration you previously had, like, for example, tago.io. We had an integration working with Helium, and this one will not working anymore. And if you take a look to the integration in Chipstack, you can see that by going in application,
Mm-hmm.
application integration. Yeah, there's not a lot of things. And QTT is not working, will never work the way it's done. So you have HTTP.
Right. I was trying
Uh,
to do this, and it's like, oh, didn't do
yeah,
anything. I was like, fuck.
yeah, it will not working because we need to have a specific MQTT server. It's the same for everyone. So we will do MQTT a different way with the packet forward. But there is some integration layer, but there is really not a lot of integration layer and not a lot like Tago.io, for example, for doing easy dashboard. You have
Yep.
my device, but honestly, my device is really unstable things. So this is quite limited, and I don't want, to modify Chipstart, or I don't want to invest time in adding thing in this and trying to publish it in part of Chipstart and so on. So I prefer to have a separate project that will make the integration we add compatible. So basically, the Tago.io integration will continue to work. The Google Chips may continue to work, and so on. So this is what I want to do. It's going to be more simple to manage.
Okay. Cool. Travis was asking, can you be a gateway and tenant admin, or sorry, gateway and device admin, and not just a tenant admin? I think so, Travis. Let me make sure that I'm not. I think there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me
I
put this back in. I don't think any of these emails are super secret. Yeah. So you can have like this person, Dirk at Crystal King, that's the engineer. Bones is an address for Bones to get in, but you can be tenant admin or gateway admin or everything admin or nothing admin. So
So you see that your second email was also admin, I think. That's
yeah, I think this is the problem
Yeah, that's the problem.
for the
Yeah,
migration.
for answering this question, yes and no. In fact, at a ship stock level, eventually the admin can give admin rights different things to different people. But the reality is that when a regular user is creating an account, the configuration is automatically made, and you have some restriction. So your device admin for sure. But for gateway, I've looked at you are gateway admin by default.
By default, you're a gateway admin. Okay.
You're not, I don't think you are. If you wanna, I mean, here you have two management. It's something also on Chipstack, which is a bit complicated. Is you have the admin panel and the tenant panel. So basically, user here
Yep.
is what are the role of users, but the admin you see all the users,
Yep.
and so you have different level of admin in the tenant in the network server user. You can be admin for the whole chipstock.
Yep.
When in a tenant, you're admin for that tenant. Okay, and being admin for the tenant allow you to work on gateways and devices.
Okay. Cool. Super cool. I think, so let's see, do we hit most of the questions? People asking about the migration, talking about this app within everything. I think we got pretty much everything, Paul. If does anyone have any other questions on Chirpstack? I think actually the best way to do it from here is to start up an account, go to console.mediascientific.com and get in there and use the fuck around and find out method to see what's going on. I don't think there's anything you can break in there, right, Paul? Well, I guess we'll find out.
I think there's many things you can break,
Yeah.
and that's what is interesting me currently. I mean,
Yep.
is having people. I mean, not trying to break it for breaking it, but just people using it to discover. I mean, I had a really big rush this week, thanks to all the tests you've done. Because I mean, I have already 3 instances of Chipstart that are in beta test, or like yours and two others. So I have different users trying to do different setup, and we found some different things to fix. That's interesting thing. So really, I mean, all the tests that can be done on your instance is really good. I mean, currently I don't want to. I did not yet start my own Chipstack instance on my side.
Okay.
I mean, I have a tens of thousands of devices running on it. So I don't really want to take a risk of breaking something.
Break it on mine, Paul.
So
I think I
yeah,
totally break it
I
on mine.
prefer to break OUI of others.
Yeah. 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 I mean, think of it this way: is that eventually I'd like to run this as a business, and I can see for folks so far who have bought credits, that's been super cool just to me to see like, oh, this could be run as a business, and I really appreciate the support because I know you can get the credits cheaper elsewhere, so that part is super cool. But yeah, for right now, like think of this as something where you get in and you learn, and I think of this as hopefully this is a significant advantage that's open to anyone, right? If you want to come in and learn Chirpstack now before it's like whatever big time on Helium, this is a really cool kind of entry point to this.
Yeah. To answer the question of trust, because yeah, this is a bug I have to. And in fact, there is a check of email formats, and the Java code for checking emails may be quite a bit old, so it checks the TLDs, and yeah, Foundation may not pass, like XYZ was not passing. So I will fix that, changing the control because this one is too restrictive. So if you have such problem, better to go to I don't know Gmail or something on .com to get started, and I will fix that during the weekend maybe.
Yep. Cool. And you can also, I mean, God, if you don't want your own Gmail, reach out to me on whatever Gristle King, and I'll set up what's it called, an alias. So you'd get like Travis at gristleking.com, and you can just log in with that. You won't get any emails, but I don't think you need to get emails anyway on this thing. So whatever I can do to help for any of you who are watching this, just reach out. You can use the gristleking.com site. You can use Nick at gristleking.com, NIK. Reach out, kind of let us know how we can help. And I think the best way to make all of this stuff work is that we all work together to find bugs and kind of pull hard, put our shoulder to the same wheel and push that thing down the road. And we'll eventually end up with something much nicer. And I think that's the cool thing about the kind of Helium community is that we've learned like, okay, there's going to be some cooperation and some competition, but with co-opetition, we can get a lot further down the road faster.
Oh yeah. You don't have a word about what is Meteo Scientific and what you want to do? Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Should. So actually I'll go back to sharing the screen for that. Yeah, let's see. So what are we doing? This is the guest screen share. I think this is it. Yeah. So Meteo Scientific was this idea that I wanted to, like when I started Gristle King, there was so much demand for what I was doing that I could name it any kind of funky name I wanted and people would have to write checks to it. Like there's so many people hiring me. I was like, I'm going to name it something funny. And then one of the things I learned early on in a very different business is that people really judge you based on your appearance. And so I looked at, if I wanted to run a long-term kind of Helium IoT business, Gristle King probably was a little bit of a hindrance as far as a name that I didn't need. So I was like, let me come up with a name that is super like approachable for anyone and super bland. And so I'm a paraglider by kind of hobby. Meteo is actually what the Europeans call weather. And because all American paragliders, almost all of them respect European paragliders, like, we'll call it Meteo too. It's like, I'll call it Meteo, and then I'll put scientific on the end. And the first part of this was like, I bought the website meteoscientific.com, and then I had ChatGPT, I don't know, a couple months ago, write a bunch of blog posts. I was like, I wonder if it can do this. And it could. It was kind of cool. Their blog posts aren't great, but it was enough. And then I thought, okay, cool. I will do app.meteoscientific on there. So this is actually an uplink engine instance. And if you've ever seen Helium Vision, you've seen this. This is Nick Huff is running this one, and we're kind of testing a bunch of stuff on there. And then Paul, when you would kind of come in and we talked about the OUI, I was like, I'll just put everything on Meteo Scientific, so it's all like one business. And so I think what happens at the end of this whole thing, whoops.
Well, do you know what Meteo means in France?
No, what is it? Oh, geez.
It's weather. It's weather.
Yeah, weather,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's where I started, was this kind of weather thing, was making it, because originally it was going to be this paragliding piece where, and this is something that Dirk and I are working on, you take these really cheap weather stations that are actually really nice. They're cheap because they're designed to work one way, and we're making them work a different way with the Helium Bridge grant. And so I think what'll happen, and maybe it'll be like, freeflight.meteoscientific.com or paragliding.meteoscientific.com. There will be a way for paragliding clubs to basically buy a weather station that's half the price of any current weather station and run it for the same price or less than any current weather station on the market. Now, that's a super small market. Paragliding clubs are usually have a couple engineers in them, so they can kind of figure some of the stuff out. But that was like the genesis of the whole thing and where it's going to go.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
makes
the
sense.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So, I mean, your rendering was really, really interesting. I mean, just what we've seen on your screen is one house and all the information you gather from the different parts. Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, I think this will be a super cool thing. And I'm going to release a video in the next day or two that compresses a lot of the information we just went through. So if you're watching this now, I know Maria had talked about like going back and watching from the beginning. I should be able to do all this in like 7 minutes to show you like how you go from soup to nuts on starting your own thing. If you want to watch all the details, you end up watching this. So
cool.
Paul, thanks a ton, dude. Thanks a ton for coming on. Thanks a ton for running this. Thanks for all your contributions to Helium. I know you've been kind of an integral part of making sure that all this stuff actually works, not just for me, but for the entire Helium community. So thank you, man. I really appreciate you putting in the time. Really cool.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
And so have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.
Merci.
And do like
There's my French. All right, guys, I think we'll sign off a couple minutes early, but we had a totally info-packed thing, so you can go back and review that whenever you want. I will see you guys. Oh, Lee always tells me, don't forget to like and subscribe. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you know anyone in the IoT world that can use this and wants to know, like, is Helium actually a thing and is it working? Go ahead and share this video with them. I think we can start to really show that a decentralized global wireless network actually can work for kind of real business. So pretty cool stuff. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.